everyone, and welcome to the pit lane at the absolute jackpot of the conclusion of the UK Ferrari Challenge Series. We're here in Spa-Francorchamps. The cars behind me are getting ready for the qualifying session, which is about to take to the track for the final round of what has been a compelling season this year. And as I'm wandering up and down the pit lane, of course, it's littered with celebrities. I'm delighted to meet from Strictly. AJ Pritchard is here. AJ, welcome. How are you finding it here at Spa-Francorchamps?
It's absolutely awesome. It's very surreal. I feel like every kind of kid in their dream sees this track, plays it on a video game, like they know it like the back of the hand, but coming here in reality is a whole nother experience. Seeing the noise, the cars in the background, like you just want to get in the car and race, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, how do you talk about it? You just must be eager the whole time.
Yeah, do you know what? Let me let you into a little secret here, because AJ hasn't come here on a flight or anything like that. Come on, how have you got here, AJ?
Yeah, I was very lucky. I was driving the Ferrari 296 GTB here from London, taking it around these roads, and I've got a little route plan later to just really put the car through its paces, enjoy it, and especially after the excitement and adrenaline of watching this race today, like, I know I'm going to be ready to get back in the car.
Brilliant. Now, of course, I think this is your first time here at Spa-Francorchamps,
yes,
but it's not your first time at a circuit. Tell me more.
No, I was lucky enough to actually drive the 296 around Brands Hatch, which was unbelievable. Having the challenge cars in your rear view mirrors and right in front of you, like following the racing line, oh, it's addictive, isn't it? Like, I was just like, so how do I get involved? That was the conversation I literally just had off camera.
So this is where I'm going to get really told off, and I say on camera, is your name on the entry list for next year?
I
was
love it.
It wasn't a no.
I know, that's what's worrying. It wasn't a no, was it?
Oh, that would be absolutely fantastic. Thanks for sparing time to be with
No,
us.
honestly,
I really
thank you
appreciate
so much.
that.
Yeah, super fan.
Hope you enjoy the day today. AJ Pritchard, who is with us here in Spa-Francorchamps to enjoy, as I say, what is going to be a really, really important qualifying session. Of course, there is a point up for grabs for pole position, whether you're a Coppa driver or a Trofeo Pirelli driver. And of course, the contest is not over yet, because those points that are up for grabs there's not a sufficient cushion for anyone to have taken the championship before we came here to Spa-Francorchamps. So both in Trofeo Pirelli and Coppa, the champions are going to be crowned here in Belgium for what has been a really exciting 2023 season. The cars, as you can see behind us, are getting ready. The drivers are getting ready. Look at Paul Simerson here, the man of perfect cool, calm and collection, ready to jump in the car. Paul, spare us a mo and come and talk to me here. Paul Simerson, who comes to Spa-Francorchamps. He won in the Drivers' Championship, and you're such a humble man, Paul, because you said when we finished at Silverstone, bad luck befell Paul Hogarth, who you'd been contesting with, and you were so kind and said, you know what, Dave, this is not the way I want to lead the championship.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm hoping neither of us have any car troubles. I mean, I really took advantage at Silverstone by P2, P1, and Paul not having any points whatsoever. I was quite lucky. Well, all the stars aligned and everything fell in my lap. But look, I just hope we have a really good race. It's a great way to finish. Bring it to Spa, rumble in the jungle, and let's may the best man win.
And you're hard working this weekend, Paul, because not only are you contesting in the UK Championship and you're a P1, let me remind you of that, you're also racing in the European Championship as well. Is that all to give you additional seat time here at Spa?
100%. I thought that having two cars racing in both would give me more seat time and give me an advantage. But the good thing is that Paul is now so close. Paul's rented a car and he's entered European as well. So at least I'm making him work for it. So look, I'm not going to make it easy for him. But like I say, I hope we just have a clean race and hopefully we can have a good battle.
Paul, best of luck. Enjoy your qualifying. We look forward to seeing you on the track. Well done. That was Paul Simerson then, just one of the competitors in the Ferrari Challenge. And as we can see from the garages behind us, they're all in the final stages of preparation for this qualifying session. And we're very much looking forward to that. We're going to stay based here in the garages as the cars begin to make their way out. Here comes Robert Rees in the number 8 car. And Robert heading down to the pit lane. Everyone is waiting for that pit light to go from red to green. And one man that's full of excitement and anticipation is, of course, the voice of the Ferrari Challenge UK, Mark Werrell. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Delighted to be here at Spa-Francorchamps. What a weekend we've got coming up, the 5th weekend of racing. The qualifying session that's coming up now will decide who's going to start on pole position for round 9 of the 2023 championship season. And certainly in Trofeo Pirelli, those pole positions have been spread around. No one single driver has really dominated. Andrew Morrow started from pole position 8 times so far this season, and Carl Cavers and Hans Sickins have also had pole positions over the course of the years. Paul Simonson and Paul Hogarth have largely been the drivers that have dominated qualifying in Coppa Shell, but Spa, of course, is a very different prospect to the slightly shorter, tighter confines of the UK circuits that we're used to, and for many of the drivers it is their first weekend of racing here at Spa-Francorchamps. Quite a few of them did do a test, but others haven't tested here. Some of them have spent a lot of time doing sim work coming into this weekend, others have spent very little time doing sim work. So what we do have is varying degrees of familiarity with the 7 kilometres of Spa, which has enormous elevation change as well. So we can start to see cars are beginning to head out onto circuit now. Beautiful sunshine in the Ardennes forest, and also warm ambient temperatures throughout the course of this weekend are forecast. There is a slight possibility of some overnight rain, but tomorrow it's due to be dry again. So first of those out there is Jonathan Satchell. We were talking about Paul Hogarth having a troubled weekend at Silverstone and losing the lead of the championship. Well, Jonathan Satchell is hoping to bounce back from a difficult weekend at Silverstone. He is one of the drivers that hasn't tested here and also has not done any work on the sim at all, as Jonathan Satchell, so he will have been utilising those free practice sessions that took place yesterday to try and learn the circuit a little bit more. Peter Hunter is out in a spare car for this weekend. You can just see his pro driver coach, Ollie Webb, to the right-hand side of the screen, chatting to him. Ollie, hugely experienced driving sports cars globally, and for Peter Hunter, stark contrast in reality came from rallying into circuit racing at the beginning of this year, and is improving. You know, race meeting after race meeting after race meeting, we have seen him improve. Another driver that's new to motorsport for this season, William Tellier. There he is, just putting on the crash helmet, getting ready to head out there. William is another driver that has progressed throughout the course of this season and is being coached by Benny Simerson, I think is his driver coach. Yeah, there is Benny. Just see him off to the right-hand side of the screen. Getting ready is Paul Rogers. Paul had a solid weekend at Silverstone last time out. His best weekend of racing was on the podium at both of the races in Coppa Shell. So he'll be hoping that he can propel his JCT 600 entered machine to another podium in Coppa Shell. He hasn't had a win as yet this season in Coppa Shell, but he certainly is going to be a driver to watch out for, because he did set pole position last time out in Coppa Shell in the second of the 2 races at Silverstone. So he comes into this weekend having had 2 podiums last time out and a pole position last time out, but couldn't convert it to the race win. So he'll be hoping that he can maintain that good form. We spoke to Paul Simerson. He's just jumping on board the number 77 car now, which is the Grey Paul Birmingham machine. And for Paul Simerson, he claimed a win last time out at Silverstone. He also claimed a win in the second of the 2 races at Brands Hatch. He's getting ready to head out onto circuit. Already out is Julian Dye. So Julian Dye, one of those already out on circuit, looking to see what he might be able to do. It's a long out lap here at Spa-Francorchamps as well, because it's 7 kilometres long, the circuit. What's that, 4.35 miles there or thereabouts? So it's a long old out lap. And there we can see already Jonathan Satchell is on to, I think, what will be his first flying lap, because he was first out of the pit lane down the Camel Straight. Don't really get the impression from the camera, but that is uphill all the way up towards Le Con, which is where they're heading now, in towards the right and then the left flick at Le Con, which is still uphill as you turn in as well. Also about to dive on board the car there is William Terrier. So he is at the wheel of the Maranello Sales entered car. So William, another driver that's new to racing this season, has not as yet broken into the top 10. Jonathan Satchell is the first of those that is on a flying lap as he works his way out of Speaker's Corner. Start to head downhill in towards Double Gauche. So slight brake for the first left-hand aspect of it, and then get back on the throttle as soon as you can. Take the second aspect flat out, they'll be doing once they get full temperature into the Pirelli controlled slick tyres that they all run. And then from there, it's in towards the braking area for Le Fagnet, where you turn right and then turn left. Almost 2 identical corners. It's just one is a right-hander and the second one is a left-hander. 4th gear. Leave it in 4th gear as you just come over the crest and then start to descend downhill in towards Campus and then leaving him fourth still all the way through Stavolo. And the first couple of sectors for Jonathan Satchell, not too shabby at all. Still be building a little bit more temperature into the Pirelli tyres. And then the speeds really begin to build now, flat out, 7th gear as they head up towards Blanchimont. Very slight brake on the run in towards Blanchimont, one would have thought, and just be careful on the exit because you can't really compromise your exit with circuit limits. For Jonathan Satchell, he should be able to sneak through and up the inside of Robert Rees in towards the brake area. No, Robert just compromises a lap there for Jonathan Satchell, so that's he's going to undo some of the hard work he'd done in the early part of the lap there. Jonathan Satchell on an out lap, and Jonathan Satchell on a flying lap, and Robert Rees on a out lap in reality. Jonathan Satchell still hasn't cleared the car at the moment, so this is going to compromise this lap for him as well. Plenty of time still though, there's 24 minutes of the session still remaining, and one driver that is only now just getting ready is the championship leader in Trofeo Pirelli, Andrew Morrow, who started the season with 3 wins, but has not subsequently had a win since the second of the 2 races at Alton Park. He's been on the podium in every race so far. John Dillon is just getting a final little bit of advice before he will make his way out onto circuit. Jonathan Satchell is the only driver with Robert Rees that has done a flying lap so far, and this lap for Jonathan Satchell is looking a reasonable one again. So up towards the braking area for Lecon, turns his way in towards the right-hander and then through the left-hander. 23 minutes on the clock, looking reasonably neat and tidy at the moment. Chris Diamond is his professional driver coach that's been working with Jonathan Satchell all season. So Jonathan Satchell quick, but not quite as quick as Robert Rees was through the first sector of the lap. So the Dick Lovett Swindon Ferrari 488 Evo Challenge spec car going well in the hands of Robert Rees, who so far this season is another driver that hasn't quite as yet broken into the top 10 in Coppa Shell. So onto the brakes, turning his way through the right-hander, then through the left. The car that he's going to want to try and work his way through past is Stuart Marsden. So Stuart stays off the racing line, out of harm's way, and allows Robert Rees to continue round through the lap. And as he starts to work his way out of campus and then round through the right-hander at Stavolo, this is where the speeds really begin to build. Good first sector from Robert Rees, good second sector from Robert Rees. There aren't that many drivers that have done flying laps so far, but he is on course to head towards the top of the times at the moment. So just see that slight break as you head in towards Blanchimont. Scrub off a little bit of speed. It's still taken by certainly the drivers at the sharp end of Trofeo Pirelli, around about 130, 135 miles an hour, and you're up to about 165 when you get to this very heavy braking point for the chicane. Avoid the sausage curbs, be so patient on the throttle on the way out, and then get good drive off the corner and complete the lap. And Robert Rees is going to go to the top of the times, 2 minutes 28.814 from Robert Rees, sees him to the top of the times. Jonathan Satchell, second quickest at the moment. Peter Hunter, the former rally driver, out there and now on a flying lap as well with the Stratstone Manchester car. So warm conditions, the drivers are limited to the amount of Pirelli tyres that they can utilise over the course of a weekend, so they'll be also making sure they get ideal conditions to try and get the quick lap in. The one good thing at Spa is, because it's 7 kilometres long, is that there's usually plenty of real estate, so you can find a little clear gap and get a good lap in and not be compromised by any traffic. So for Peter Hunter, he's looking to see what he can do, and for the first sector of this lap, he's probably a couple of seconds down on where he needs to be relative to Robert Rees, so it's still going to be his first flying lap, so chalk the time into the book, but for the moment the number 8 car of Robert Rees is still the fastest with that 2 minute 28.814 second lap from him. Jonathan Satchell is second quickest with a 2:35, but we know that that lap was slightly compromised by a little bit of traffic, and Julian Dye is the only other car that's posted a flying lap so far. So all of those cars are Coppa Shell cars. Remember, there is an extra championship point for pole position as well. Come the race later on today, there's an extra point for fastest lap, as well as the 15 points if you claim the win. Robert Rees is the fastest that's shown his hand so far. Peter Hunt concluded his first flying lap with a 1 minute 37.147, so he, for the moment, goes third quickest. We haven't had a Trofeo Pirelli driver set a lap time as yet, though. Saw Andrew Morrow getting ready. We do have Faisal Al-Faisal out on circuit as well at the wheel of the number 76 car. I was watching him round through Eau Rouge and Radillon yesterday, and Faisal Al-Faisal was doing good stuff at the wheel of the number 76 HRO car, and he's doing good stuff here as well. Robert Rees is on for an improvement by the look of things, so this is going to lower his lap time. He's slightly slower through the middle sector though, Robert Rees, not by much, but he was quicker through the first sector. So is it going to be an improvement? You can hear there as he tries to get on the throttle as early as possible that the car just had a little twitch from underneath him. Is it going to be any quicker as he goes through and over the start-finish line? 2 minutes 28.814 is his best. That was slightly slower, 2 minutes 29.0, so only 0.2 of a second slower. But Faisal Al-Faisal is the man to watch at the moment. He has gone as an absolute quickest, absolute best through the first sector. He's around about 0.6 of a second up on the time that Robert Rees was putting through the first sector. As Faisal Al-Faisal now starts to descend round through campus, he's just about to head through Stavelot. This is where we get an indication as to what the second sector of the lap looks like. And for Faisal Al-Faisal, he's quicker than anybody through the second sector of the lap as well. So speeds begin to build up to 7th gear, 160 miles an hour, down to about 130 as you head through Blanchimont, and you're back on the throttle again, bringing it back up to 160 miles an hour into the heavy braking area for the bus stop. And for Faisal Al-Faisal, he's going to be the first of the Trofeo Pirelli entered cars to set a lap, and it's looking as though he's going to go to the top of the times by the look of things. So see what he might be able to do now as he heads through and over the start-finish line. Faisal Al-Faisal, 1 minute 27.529 from Faisal Al-Faisal, so that's 1.25 seconds quicker than Robert Rees at the moment. Jonathan Satchel is third quickest, Stuart Marsden's fourth. So we have a quick look at one of the slow-mo replays of Faisal Al-Faisal. You see just how hard he's working the car. It's William Terrier actually, just from side to side, heading round through the bus stop. Concentration on the driver's face as he gets on the throttle and tries to get the car cleanly off the corner. William Terrier, who has posted a flying lap, 2 minutes 41.580 from him. As the teams all gaze to the timing screens and the GPS tracking system on the cars to try and see as to what might unfold in the remaining 16 or so minutes of this qualifying session for round 9 of the 2023 Ferrari Challenge UK here at Spa-Francorchamps. Paul Rogers out on circuit, looking to see what he can do. He is an absolute best through the middle sector, Paul Rogers, so he hasn't been hanging around on this lap. Paul Rogers goes third quickest with a 1 minute 29.229. That's 1.7 seconds exactly slower than Faisal Al-Faisal. That also puts him second quickest of the Coppa Shell cars that we've seen out on circuit so far. And Paul Rogers, as we say, last time out, double podium at Silverstone and a pole position in the second of the two races over the course of the weekend. So the man from the northeast will be more than pleased that he is on form coming into this weekend. Now he's heading along the Camel Straight. It's just before Les Combes where you see the first sector time come in, and as Paul Rogers goes through in towards the braking area, he's slightly slower through that first sector of the lap. Uses all of the curbs through Les Combes up towards Malmedy, highest point of the circuit, just on the exit of the corner, and then you drop back down in towards Bruxelles. Heavy on the brakes. Lend the throttle in. It's a long right-hander Bruxelles, and then it's a short sprint down towards the left-hander at Speaker's Corner, and then build the speed again then as you head down towards Double Gauche, or Pouhon as it's previously known. So Faisal Al-Faisal tops the times, 2 minutes 27.529. But we've still got half a dozen cars or so that have not set a lap time as yet, for which there are a couple that are now on out laps. Hans Sickins for HR Owen, the number 16 car is on an out lap at the moment, but has already exceeded track limits, so his lap time may well not count. And also Chris Smith for Grey Paul Birmingham, the number 69 car is on an out lap currently. But for Paul Rogers, looking good at the moment. First sector for Paul Rogers was not quite as quick as he'd previously gone. Second sector is not quite as quick as he'd previously gone, so he's going to struggle through the latter stage of this lap to try and improve the time. Sticking with it for the moment though, up towards Blanchimont. Quick dab of the brake lights, flip the car in, get back on the throttle as soon as you can. Be careful of track limits on the exit of Blanchimont, and then build the speed again. Just make sure that you're neat and tidy through the bus stops. You can see the brake discs glowing there, and he gets a little bit sideways midway through. The car slightly over rotates on the power. He comes out of the corner nice and neatly on the exit of the chicane, and for Paul Rogers, that lap time was quicker than he'd previously done. 2 minutes 29.164, and that was all done in the final sector really from him. Slightly slower through the first and the second sectors, but quicker through the third sector. Now, Carl Cavers is on a quick lap here, Carl. Double winner at Silverstone last time out. Nice second in the Trofeo Pirelli Championship standings. Just 8 points adrift, but runs very, very, very wide all the way through the gravel trap. The car bounces back onto the tarmac. He gathers it up, but that was a very gravelly and a dusty moment there as he came out of Stavelot. So for Carl Cavers, that has undone the hard work he'd done through the first couple of sectors. He was absolute best through the middle sector of the lap, so he was pushing hard, but reached the very limits. And with the change of gravel trap position now at Stavelot, you can't really afford to run wide, because if you do, that's exactly what happened to poor old Carl Cavers there. So slightly dusty Pirellis, he will have cleaned them up for the remainder of the lap, and he's got another roll of the dice, another opportunity to see what he can do this time through with 13 minutes of qualifying still remaining. He's looking to try and set his first real qualification time. Let's just have another quick look. The car starts to oversteer on him. He has to put a little bit of correction into the steering, and then because he has to apply that little bit of opposite lock, the car's sideways through the gravel. He keeps his foot absolutely planted and then rejoins with a bit of a bump up onto the circuit. Now, Andrew Morrow, through all of this, has now gone second quickest. The Trofeo Pirelli Championship leader, 2 minutes 27.828, but Faisal Al Faisal has just gone even quicker, 2 minutes 26.579 now for the provisional pole sitter. So as Faisal Al Faisal heads towards further improved time in pole position, we can go down to the pit lane, which is where we see Dave Richardson.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thing is, down here in the hot lane, as it were, of the pit lane, of course, we can see everything developing as it happens. And I just wanted to bring you some of the anticipation, excitement, some of the atmosphere, not anticipation, atmosphere. We can see here that the Jonathan Satchel car has come into the pit lane. Now, Chris Diamond, who is the driver coach to Jonathan Satchel, just having some words of encouragement, I am sure. And you can see behind the Robert Rees car is also in as well. So whilst things are going on, of course, out there on track, the drivers do take time to come in and just get some words of wisdom, if you will, from their driver coaches, who, of course, are always on the radio to them, Mark, in any event. But there's lots happening down here in the garages as well. So it is a place of tension. Not quite as tense as in your commentary box, though.
It's warmer down in the pit lane as well. My commentary box is beautifully air-conditioned. It's a warm day here in the middle of the Ardennes Forest. Now, Andrew Morrow, better than he'd previously gone through the first sector. Absolute best through the middle sector. You could see that he was raising the dust and dipped a couple of wheels into the gravel as well. He was pushing so hard. And can he put the Charleshurst car onto provisional pole position with 11 minutes of this session still to go? His best so far has been bettered. 2 minutes 26.384 for Andrew Morrow. He leads the Trofeo Pirelli Championship standings. He leads qualifying here in advance of round 9 of Spa-Francorchamps, and he was pushing hard on that lap. You can see the body language of the car was telling you that Andrew Morrow was not leaving a lot out there. You can see there as he almost dipped a little bit more than half a wheel into the gravel trap, just flicking up the stones, but got away with the moment there. But that is the limit now. He's found it, and you just then can keep pushing. You dial it back from there, and Andrew Morrow, for the moment, has done what he needs to do. He is quickest. Paul Rogers is back in the pit lane. Off has come the crash helmet, out is coming the earplugs. It looks as though Carl Cavers also in the pit lane as well. Only 9th quickest at the moment for Carl Cavers. That will put him 4th of the Trophy Pirelli cars, and we can go back down to the pit lane, which is where we see Dave Richardson.
So Paul Rogers then, the crash helmet came off, the bead of sweat falls down the forehead of Paul Rogers. You obviously feel you've done as much as you can do, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, the track's pretty harsh on tyre deck here. I knew I had to do it on my first push lap or second push lap. And on the second push lap, I was actually half a second up. Top edge on the next turn 7. And I would brake late, getting giddy because I was half a second up heading for P1 and completely screwed the corner up. So I finished up, and then my back tyres were overheating, so I'll save them for the race.
I was going to say, I mean, you know, that is also something that's always in your mind, isn't it? It's tyre longevity for the race to come.
Yeah, because, you know, the little trophy you get for pole, of course, is lovely, but a podium is so much more important.
Thanks for talking to us. Paul Rogers there, Mark, who says, as far as he's concerned, the road to form pole position award is very nice. However, the P1 on the podium is even better.
No, absolutely. Yeah, Paul Rogers, second quickest at the moment of the Coppa Shell cars. Coppa Shell provisional pole at the moment is still going the way of Robert Rees. Now out on track is Hans Sickens, double race winner so far this year. He is pushing hard. Andrew Morrow is back out for another roll of the dice as well. Remember, he is the provisional pole sitter, and Andrew Morrow is quicker than he's previously gone through the first sector, but gave a little bit of time away through the middle sector of the lap. So is this going to improve on the 2:26.3 that he had set previously? No, that is a 2 minutes 26.4, so only a tenth of a second shy than he has previously done. So that is not going to improve. He remains on provisional pole position. Hans Sickens, however, is looking to see what he might be able to do. He has not set a representative lap time of the pace that we know he has got at the moment. He is 13th quickest, and through the first sector is maybe about 3/10 down on ideally where he ought to be. He will be coming up through the second sector shortly, and that is about 3/10 down in the second sector from where he ought to be. So he's probably going to be in the 2 minute 26s with this lap. But where is he going to be? Is he going to be first, second, or potentially third? We'll find out very shortly, because he's just heading in towards the braking area for the chicane. Get the car stopped as quickly as you can. Watch those sausage curbs on the inside, both on the right-hander and on the left-hander. Be patient with the throttle on the way out. It looks a reasonable lap from Hans Sickens, and where is he going to slot himself in? Third quickest is the answer. 2 minutes 27.639 from Hans Sickens is a good lap from him. So Andrew Morrow fastest, Faisal Al-Faisal second quickest. He'll be rather pleased with that as he jumps out of his car. 2/10 down on the provisional pole time of Andrew Morrow. Hans Sickens is third quickest. Carl Cavers, who you would reckon would be there or thereabouts in the mix, is at the moment only 11th quickest because of the problems that have befallen him. So William Terrier chatting to Benny Simonson, which is his pro driver. Is he going to get out? Yes, he is. So it looks as though William Terrier is at best then going to line up 7th of the Coppa Shell cars. With 6.5 minutes remaining in qualifying, we'll go back to the pit lane and Dave.
Sorry to interrupt you at the sharp end of qualifying, but you would expect that of me. And the reason you would expect it of me is Faisal Al-Faisal has just jumped out of the car. As I looked at the timing screen, Faisal, P2 for you. Really great driving during qualifying.
Yeah, we got beaten by Andrew with a tenth of a second. But yeah, it was a good qualifying. We decided we wanted to go 2 push laps maximum and save the tires. It's a long track, and it's going to take its toll on the tires. So it worked out well, and we're going to be happy if we end up P2.
Well, about 6 minutes left. Tell me, what's it like here, Spa-Francorchamps? I mean, 7 kilometres of very undulating tarmac, Faisal. It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yes, it gets scary at some points, you know, but you need to be a lot technical in some of the turns. Track limits is very strict, obviously, this weekend, so it's going to be something that we have to watch out for, but it's an amazing track.
Faisal, thanks so much for talking to us. Faisal Al-Faisal then, who, Mark, you might be able to update me, but as I was speaking to Faisal, I think he was still P2 in qualifying.
He is P2 in qualifying, yeah, you're absolutely right, Dave. Hans Sickens was P3, but that lap time was disallowed for track limits, so he's got no choice but to go back out and try and put another lap in. Because the lap time was disallowed, he's not third, he's 14th at the moment. He's coming out of the final corner and is looking as though he has strung this one together. It's not quite going to be as quick as some of his previous laps, and it puts him fourth quickest, 1 minute 28.906. It actually now puts him fifth quickest as John Dillon improves at the wheel of the number 61 Grey Paul Nottingham car with a 2 minute 28.704. And remember, Carl Cavers still needs to set a lap really at the moment, because he is way out of position to where he ought to be. He is currently lying second overall in the Trofeo Pirelli standings. He was a double winner at Silverstone, and he meets a bit of traffic. He meets Peter Hunter as they head round through Blanchimont, the worst possible place for a little bit of traffic. And for Carl Cavers, I'm not saying that this lap is going to be anything other than quicker than he's previously done, but maybe he gave a little bit of time away there. And is that a problem with the car on the exit of the chicane? Yes, it was. All of a sudden, the car started to slow a little bit, and now he picks up speed again, but that would have compromised his speed over the start-finish line and also compromised that lap for him. It was an improved time, 2 minutes 29.292, but Carl Cavers is only 7th at the moment and 5th quickest of the Trofeo Pirelli drivers. He's 2.9 seconds adrift the whole time of Andrew Morrow, the driver that he is squabbling with in terms of the championship. Now Hans Sickins, with 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go, is still pressing on around the circuit. We've got John Dillon, who is third quickest, still heading round. Fastest of the Coppa Shell cars is still third quickest overall, which is Robert Rees. Fantastic qualifying from him. And we've not really mentioned as yet Paul Hogarth, who lost the championship lead in Coppa Shell with a difficult weekend at Silverstone. What might he be able to do? He is currently 9th quickest, 4th quickest of the Coppa Shell cars. He has gone quicker through the first sector than he has previously gone, as he heads round through Double Gauche, pushing on. And I think we can go to the pit lane of Dave, who's with a provisional pole sitter.
Well, it is provisional, which is why I don't want to disturb you for too long, Mark. But Andrew, presumably you feel you've done everything you can. It's whether Carl now is going to do something out there.
Yeah, I can pick the tyres going. Track totally different yesterday afternoon, but hopefully we've done enough to seal the job. It's just a matter of waiting now.
Very tense 2.5 minutes. Andrew, thanks for talking to us. We might come back to you if you take that Rotiform Pole Position Award. Back to you, Mark, as you bring the conclusion to our qualifying session.
Thanks, Dave. Yep, Carl Cavers is looking to see what he can do. But again, I'm just looking at the car. I think he's backed off on this lap as he heads round through Campus. Yes, he has. So, yeah, he has definitely backed off the lap, Carl Cavers. So he's perhaps realised that nothing else is going to happen. What we have had, though, is John Dillon improve again with a 2 minute 28.723 from John Dillon that time through. So we're still seeing a little bit of shuffling in the order. So at the moment it's Andrew Morrow from Faisal Al Faisal and John Dillon, the top three. Robert Rees is the quickest of the Coppa Shell cars as he sits there 4th quickest. But for Carl Cavers, yeah, he's not on a flying lap this time through, and that's going to be a disappointing qualifying for him. There's still 2 minutes to go, so he could get another flying lap in because he should get over the start-finish line before the checkered flag. Paul Simerson was hoping for, I'm sure, a slightly better qualifying and what is just 6th quickest overall in Coppa Shell at the moment. But as we're hearing from the drivers, now it was warm conditions yesterday, slightly higher ambient temperature today, and maybe that has just pushed the track conditions away from where they wanted it to be for the sweet spot for the car, the sweet spot for the tyres. And as we've heard, you know, the circuit is abrasive, and as Andrew Morrow, that man there, was just saying a few moments ago, just not quite the same as it was yesterday. So John Dillon at the moment just shadowing around the circuit Julian Dye. So are these two, I don't think, on a huge flying lap at the moment. Julian Dye is 15th overall. He is 10th of the Coppa Shell competitors at the moment. And John Dillon is trying to thread his way through, but I don't think John is going to be on a flying lap this time through, and if he was, he perhaps just lost a little bit of time there working his way through there. John is one of the few drivers who has raced here previously, has raced a challenge car here in the past as well. Not the current iteration of the 488 EVO, but a prior iteration. And John has had a good qualifying session. 3rd quickest and 2 minutes 28.723. But his sector time's not suggesting there's going to be any improvement for him this time through. The sector times from Julian Dye also not suggesting there's going to be any improvement this time through. So I think we are largely done with qualifying at the moment, because the pit lane has filled up with the best part of 60% of the entrants. There's still a few out there on circuit, but those that are circulating are going slower through the previous sectors than they have gone. And for John Dillon, he's not going to get another flying lap in, even if he wanted to, because the clock has ticked to 0, and he'll be destined for the pit lane, I would have thought, at the end of this one. Yep, he peels his way right and in towards pit lane entry. Looks as though Julian Dye and Hans Sickins will probably do the same as well. No, Hans Sickins is going to try for another flying lap, but there isn't time because the checkered flag is already out. So for Hans Sickins, it is only going to be 5th quickest for him overall, which will be 4th of the Trofeo Pirelli cars. And now he's taken the checkered flag. He will also now be on an in lap this time through. So Carl Cavers, what might he be able to do? Carl Cavers this lap through, slower through the first sector than he's previously gone, slower through the second sector than he has previously gone. Is he going to stick with the lap as he heads in towards the braking area for the chicane, or is he going to head in towards the pit lane? No, he's sticking with it to see what he might be able to do. He's going to be hovering around a 2:26.3 is the target that he's going for, but as he comes through, it is an improved time. It's a 2:27.245 from Carl Cavers. That betters the time of John Dillon and moves the man who's second in the championship standings in Trofeo Pirelli up a position on the grid. He will line up directly behind his main championship rival Andrew Morrow, because Andrew's pole, Carl Cavers of course, will be a row behind because he's 3rd quickest. So drivers and teams all heading for the pits. Everybody has taken the checkered flag, and for Andrew Morrow it is going to be another pole position. What's that? 3 pole positions he'd already had in Trofeo Pirelli. That now means it's 4 pole positions for him in Trofeo Pirelli this year. And for Robert Rees, he will be more than pleased with that, because for Robert Rees that is by far his best qualifying position, and it is his first class pole of the year as well, so he will be absolutely delighted with that one. So the qualifying concluded. Let's head back down to the pit lane. Some reaction with Dave.
Well, as you would expect of me, Mark, I'm trying to work with lightning reactions and being fleet of foot, but the man that is fleet of foot is Robert Rees. Well done, Robert. Where did that come from?
Thank you, Dave. I went out this morning with the determination to get that lap time in, and I'm so pleased that I did get that one in. It's been very nervous, sort of sitting there waiting to see what everybody else did. But we're there at P1, and I'm really thrilled with it. Thank you.
Do you know what, Robert? Watching you develop as a driver over the course of your first season in the Ferrari Challenge UK has been an absolute delight for me, as we're about to be run over by William Terwiar's car, which we don't want that to happen, do we? But it really has been a delight to see you constantly evolve. You must be so pleased with your progress and the culmination of that with this wonderful pole position.
I am, absolutely. And thanks to everybody, including yourself and the whole Ferrari team, for making it possible. And it's been a true experience, and one that I will always cherish.
Robert, always great to talk to you, and many congratulations on your Rotiform Pole Position Award. You deserve that. So what I'm going to do right now, as I said, fleet of foot, Mark, I'm going to go and try and find Andrew Morrow for part 2 of our conversation.
Thanks, Dave. Yep, so we'll hear more from Dave down there in the pit lane as well. But let's confirm the qualifying for you. Andrew Morrow will start from pole position come round 9 of the championship later on today, with Faisal Al Faisal 2nd quickest, and Carl Cavers popping in a quick lap late on to go 3rd quickest ahead of John Dillon, who, with that quick lap from Carl, dropped to 4th. Robert Rees was 5th quickest. We've just heard from him. And then it's Hans Sickins, Paul Rogers, Chris Smith, Paul Hogarth, Stuart Marsden, and Paul Simerson, who was just outside of the top 10. Then it was Jonathan Satchell from William Terrier, Peter Hunter, and Julian Dye was the slowest of the cars that we saw out there. But lots to look forward to. Round 9 of the championship coming up later on over the course of the day. And for Robert Rees, he will forever be able to say that he was a pole sitter at Spa-Francorchamps, as will Andrew Morrow, who is looking to try and wrap up the Trofeo Pirelli Championship standings this weekend. He's down there in the pit lane with Dave.
Thank you so much, Mark. And not only Andrew, but I thought I'd bring in Johnny as well, who has certainly worked so hard with Andrew this year. Johnny is nailed it here, P1 at Spa-Francorchamps. You know from an illustrious racing career, that's not easy to achieve.
No, and it's obviously Andrew's first time ever here, so a lot of corners here, a lot of commitment required in a few places, so not an easy place to come for the first time.
You must be proud of the boy.
Yeah, really good. He's done a good job all weekend. We haven't had masses of track time, so it's been quite a steep learning curve, but he's a good listener, and he does majority of the time what I asked them to do. So you know, it's been really good season. Hopefully finish it off this weekend in a good way.
Oh, of course, that's what you want, Johnny. Forgive me. We'll talk to Andrew now. Well done. You've come here. You've nailed what you wanted.
Yeah, look, it's exactly what we need. First step out of the way, so now we just need to focus on the race and hopefully get a good start and be able to get the job done. But yeah, delighted to be in pole position for my first time ever at Spa, so it feels good.
Rotiform Pole Position Award winner. Well done to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck to the race. Thanks for talking to us, Andrew and Johnny there. And Mark, that's it. I'm kind of done and dusted, really. I've brought as much as I can, and oh boy, am I looking forward to the race this afternoon.
Great stuff as ever, Dave. Yet we're all looking forward to what is going to be an intriguing race here for round 9 of the championship later on today. Please join us for that, because it will all be streamed live. If you're watching in Europe, it's 15:50 CET, Central European time. If you're watching back in the UK, of course, it's an hour earlier. It's 14:50 British summer time. So for Dave Richardson, myself, Mark Werrell, and the whole team here at Ferrari at Spa-Francorchamps, thanks for joining us for qualifying, but please join us for the race later on today. Goodbye.